Is something actually cringe, or are we just afraid to admit we love it? Because let's talk about the show that everyone swears is embarrassing basic, badly written, and a disaster, yet somehow exploded into a global obsession that pulled in tens of millions of people like a tidal wave. This show didn't just do well. It crushed numbers that seasoned studios dream about. It outperformed cult favorites, beat out glossy high-budget titles, and built a fandom so intense that brands, airlines, sports teams, and half the internet suddenly wanted to join the chaos. How does a show people call cringe become a cultural takeover? Today we're digging into the exact blueprint, the 3 marketing secrets that turned a supposedly bad show into a massive worldwide hit. Each secret builds on the next, and by the end, I'm sharing a bonus tactic that quietly supercharged the entire phenomenon. The kind of strategy that can flip the trajectory of a brand, a business, or even a personal dream. And yes, you can use these same strategies on yourself. Because branding isn't just for celebrities or companies. It shapes how people see you, remember you, and choose you. If a show mocked for being cheesy, predictable, and painfully dramatic can become the most talked about title in over 100 countries, then trust me, nothing is impossible for you. Let's start from the beginning. The story starts with a girl named Belly, quiet, shy, overlooked, who returns to the same beach town where she's spent summers since childhood. Except this year, something changes. She looks different, she feels different, and suddenly the 2 brothers she grew up with, Conrad and Jeremiah, can't stop staring at her like she walked out of a dream sequence. If this sounds like the most textbook teen romance setup ever, that's because it is. The original book series came out in 2009, the same era of flip phones, lip gloss, and dramatic love triangles that made entire generations obsessed with Twilight, Gossip Girl, and every YA trope under the sun. So how did a story straight out of the 2000s suddenly take over the 2020s? Because the show leaned into something every marketer overlooks. People don't always want cool. They want something that makes them feel. And that brings us to the first major secret. In any other universe, this show should have crashed. Critics called it unrealistic. People online dragged the acting, the writing, the love triangle, the drama. And yet, the more people mocked it, the more others watched it, out of pure curiosity. The hate became promotion. The criticism became free advertising. And the cringe transformed into comfort. Why? Because the show did something genius. It embraced sincerity in a world obsessed with irony. Instead of trying to be edgy, dark, mysterious, gritty, or cool, it was soft. It was awkward. It was emotional. It was honest. And people didn't expect that. Imagine this. Everyone is trying to look perfect, sound perfect, and act perfect online. Then along comes a show that says, it's okay to feel everything. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to want softness and sweetness again. That is the power of owning your cringe. Because cringe is just authenticity that hasn't gone viral yet. This is why creators, businesses, and personal brands that lean into their quirks end up winning. The show did not fight its identity, it exaggerated it. And people connected with it deeply because of that. But that's only the beginning. The show doesn't just tell a story, it sells a feeling. A feeling that everyone secretly misses, even if they pretend they don't. Warm summers without phones. Friendships that mattered more than everything. Music that felt like a diary entry. Late nights at a beach house. Crushes that felt like destiny. It revived a whole era we thought we outgrew. The show became a time capsule, and time capsules are addictive. We're living in a world overflowing with chaos, pressure, and seriousness. People don't want harsh reality shoved in their face every second. They want comfort. They want softness. They want innocence. They want escape. Unlike darker shows that mirror real-life heaviness, this one created a sanctuary, a return to something simple. And the nostalgia didn't end with the story. It extended into fashion, color palettes, styling, sound, and cultural conversation. People didn't just watch the show, they recreated it. They bought soft dresses, pastel sneakers, vintage denim, gloss pink makeup, and delicate silhouettes to feel closer to the world of the show. The main actress became an instant style reference, not because she wore expensive pieces, but because her look was achievable. Repetition is how icons are born. Once something becomes repeatable, it becomes cultural currency. And that's exactly what happened. The show's aesthetic was suddenly everywhere. Which leads us to the deeper magic behind why fans didn't just watch the show. They became invested in it on a personal level. The real reason the show exploded isn't the plot or even the nostalgia. It's something far more psychological. It gave viewers a way to project their own emotional stories onto the characters. People didn't watch Belly choose between two brothers. They watched their younger self choose between hope and heartbreak, between what's safe and what hurts, between who they wanted and who wanted them. The love triangle wasn't just a plot device. It became an identity. You weren't just watching. You were participating. People became loyal to their team. Team Conrad, Team Jeremiah, and choosing a team made them feel part of something bigger than the show itself. This is called tribal branding. When people align with a brand the same way fans align with sports teams, artists, or even phone companies, it becomes emotional. It becomes personal. It becomes identity. And once a brand reaches identity-level attachment, it becomes untouchable. Fans rewatch episodes. They buy merchandise. They defend characters like best friends. They debate theories. They form inside jokes. They build community. A show once labeled too cringe to survive suddenly became a weekly ritual for millions. But here's the part nobody talks about. The one quiet strategy that amplified every single one of these effects. If you've ever wondered why certain scenes from a show stay with you for months, it's because emotional memory isn't visual. It's sensory. And this show used that brilliantly. The warm lighting, the softness of the scenes, the color choices, all of it triggered familiarity. But the biggest psychological weapon? The soundtrack. Soft indie tracks. Heart-splitting lyrics. Songs by artists already associated with girlhood, first love, heartbreak, innocence, nostalgia. Every song was placed at the exact moment your emotions were already rising. So the music didn't just accompany the feeling, it locked it in. And when fans left the show, they kept listening to the songs, which meant they kept reliving the scenes, which meant the show stayed in their brain, which meant they returned. That is sensory branding, creating experiences that attach emotions to memories in a way you can't shake. This amplified everything. The nostalgia, the emotional investment, the softness, the fandom, the craving to return. It wasn't accidental. It was strategy. And that's exactly why a show everyone called cringe turned into a phenomenon millions couldn't stop thinking about. Now it's your turn. Think about the stories, shows, and brands you love most. What did they do that made you care? What feeling did they give you that others didn't? Ask yourself, how can you make people feel emotionally connected to your work? Is there a nostalgic or comforting element you can bring back? Is there something you've been too embarrassed to try that could actually be your biggest advantage? What identity can your brand represent that people would proudly join? Everything you want, the career, the creativity, the confidence, is on the other side of the cringe you're avoiding. Everyone starts with messy attempts. Everyone starts imperfect. Everyone starts unsure. That's how growth works. If you learned something today, stick around. There's so much more to uncover, and I know you're going to love what comes next.